In the year 2137, beneath the icy expanse of Antarctica, an expedition of researchers led by Dr. Evelyn Shaw made a discovery that would change everything. Buried deep within the glaciers, far from the eyes of the world, was a massive object, something that had never been seen before. A ship unlike any human design, with smooth metallic surfaces and strange glowing markings across its hull. It had been hidden there for thousands of years, perhaps longer, and no one could have anticipated what it would reveal. The team had been sent to the southernmost continent on a routine geological survey, looking for clues about Earth's past climate. But what they found was far beyond what any of them could have imagined. After weeks of digging through thick layers of ice, the team finally unearthed a craft that looked to be of alien origin. Its size was staggering, stretching hundreds of meters long. It seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. A faint hum emanated from deep within its structure. Dr. Shaw, a leading archaeologist and expert in extraterrestrial life, was the first to approach the wreckage with cautious excitement. Her team followed closely behind, eager to learn what lay within. As they examined the ship, they noted strange inscriptions on its surface. The language was unrecognizable, yet there was something familiar about the patterns. The symbols seemed to almost beckon the team forward, as though they were being invited inside. It was at this moment that the first of the strange phenomena began. The temperature around the wreckage shifted, suddenly plummeting into freezing cold before spiking to an unnatural warmth. It seemed as though the ship itself was alive, as though it was reacting to the team's presence, and with each step closer they took, the hum grew louder, reverberating through the air and vibrating in their bones. A small group of researchers, led by Dr. Shaw, entered the ship. Its metal doors parted as though controlled by an unseen force, allowing them access to the heart of the wreckage. Inside, the air was thin and still, yet crackled with static. The interior was unlike anything they had seen before. The walls were covered in glowing panels and shifting holograms depicting alien landscapes and strange machinery that defied all understanding. It was clear that this was not just any abandoned ship. It was something far more significant. The team carefully set up equipment to scan the wreckage, but the results were not what they expected. The scans showed that the ship was ancient beyond any known civilization. Its metal composition was not of any known alloy. The technology was light years ahead of humanity's own, and yet it felt strangely familiar, as though the ship had been built with human-like hands. Dr. Shaw couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't a random discovery. The wreckage seemed almost too perfectly preserved, and its location far too deliberate for it to have been an accident. The team set up camp around the ship. Over the coming days, they would work tirelessly to understand its origins, but in the back of their minds they knew they were on the edge of uncovering something that would shake the very foundation of human history. What had brought this ship to Earth? What purpose did it serve? And most pressing of all, who or what had built it? The answers were hidden deep within the wreckage, and as Dr. Shaw looked back at the glimmering ship under the cold Antarctic sky, she couldn't help but feel that they had just uncovered the first piece of a puzzle that would change everything. As the days passed, the team grew more captivated by the alien ship. Every corner they explored revealed new wonders and baffling mysteries. The ship's internal structure seemed to pulse with an energy all its own. The glowing panels on the walls flickered sporadically, as if responding to the team's movements. The temperature continued to fluctuate, and strange electromagnetic surges disrupted their equipment, causing frustration and wonder in equal measure. It wasn't until the seventh day inside the wreckage that something remarkable happened. While examining the central chamber of the ship, Dr. Shaw and her team triggered an event that would forever change the course of their discovery. The moment they crossed a threshold into a vast, circular room, the ship's systems seemed to activate in unison. The humming noise that had been faint before now resonated throughout the entire ship with increasing intensity. Suddenly, without warning, a series of holographic projections erupted from the walls, shimmering into existence with vibrant colors and images that seemed to come alive. They displayed unknown alien landscapes, star systems, and figures that appeared to be humanoid, but with features both familiar and disturbingly alien. Their eyes glowed with an ethereal light. Their forms flickered, as if they were not fully solid, but rather made of light and shadow. Dershaw stood frozen in awe as the images unfolded before her. The projections seemed to depict an advanced civilization spread across the stars, yet there was something hauntingly human about them, their movements graceful and purposeful, their technology incomprehensible, but sophisticated beyond anything Earth had ever seen. The holograms shifted, showing images of distant planets, and among them Earth itself in a time long past. The team stood motionless as they observed the holograms slowly coming to life, their eyes wide in disbelief. The alien figures appeared to be interacting with primitive humans, offering them knowledge and guidance, as if they had come to Earth, not as conquerors, but as teachers and protectors. But the most astonishing image came next. The projection zoomed in on a group of humans standing beneath towering structures, as though waiting for something or someone. Then a new figure appeared, one that had not been part of the previous holograms. This figure was different. It was humanoid, but its features were unmistakably human. Its face, reflected in the holographic light, it was as though this figure had stepped out of the past. The image seemed to be a memory, a record of something that had happened long before the arrival of the first human civilizations. The figure in the projection was of a human, yet dressed in strange clothing and surrounded by alien technology. The team was struck by the realization that these ancient people were not just humans. They were the product of a genetic intervention. Something had shaped them and altered their evolution long before history had been written. As the projection continued, a low hum filled the air once more, and the ship seemed to respond, its interior lighting shifting in time with the projections on the walls. Dershaw felt a chill run down her spine. The hum now felt different. It was as though the ship itself was alive and aware of their presence. The team members began to feel uneasy, some even reporting strange sensations like being watched or followed by unseen eyes. The strange feelings grew stronger the longer they stayed inside the wreckage, as if the ship was more than just a machine. It was something far more complex and intelligent. Dershaw's heart raced as the magnitude of their discovery hit her. This was not just a ship from an alien race. It was a message, a warning, or perhaps even a sign that humanity's past was far more entwined with the stars than they had ever imagined. And as the ship's systems continued to awaken and reveal its secrets, she couldn't shake the sense that something was about to happen, something that would challenge everything they thought they knew about their place in the universe. The following days brought even more revelations that left Dershaw and her team both elated and deeply unsettled. The holographic projections continued to unfold, but now they were not just images of distant worlds or alien civilizations. They began to focus more intently on Earth itself and the early days of humanity. It was a narrative so unexpected that even the most seasoned researchers struggled to comprehend the implications. The holograms showed humans in primitive forms long before the rise of cities or agriculture. They were depicted living in small groups scattered across the land. Their tools were rudimentary and their lives harsh. But what caught the attention of Dershaw was the sudden appearance of the alien figures. Once more the Ishari, as they were now called by the team, had returned in the projections, their technology so far beyond anything the humans could comprehend. The Ishari did not simply observe the humans, they interacted with them and altered their world in subtle yet profound ways. The projections showed them modifying human genetics, enhancing their strength, intellect, and adaptability, adjusting their biology to survive the changing climates of Earth and prepare them for challenges that humanity itself could never have predicted. Dershaw's hands trembled as she read the translation of the alien language embedded in the projections. A message was being conveyed, not through words, but through images and symbols. The Ishari had come to Earth millennia ago, and their purpose was not to conquer or destroy, but to create and cultivate a new form of life. Humanity was not the result of natural evolution, but rather a carefully orchestrated experiment designed to foster a species capable of thriving in the face of great adversity. The thought was overwhelming. It turned everything the team had learned about human history on its head. The Ishari had shaped humanity itself through genetic manipulation. They had designed the first humans, not as a natural byproduct of Earth's environment, but as a creation born of extraterrestrial intelligence. As Dershaw processed the enormity of this truth, her mind raced with questions. Why had the Ishari left? Why had they abandoned their creation? And why was the ship here now? The ship, which was undeniably a relic of their ancient technology, had been buried deep within Earth's ice for reasons unknown. Yet it was clear that the HFY had left behind a record of their work, a message meant to be uncovered by those who would one day find it. The team worked tirelessly to decipher more of the ship's systems, in hopes of uncovering additional insights into the nature of the HFY and their reasons for intervening in Earth's past. But it was as though the ship was reluctant to reveal its full story. Pieces of the puzzle were scattered and incomplete. Despite the fragments of knowledge they had gathered, it became increasingly clear that humanity's true origins were far more complicated than anyone could have imagined. The projections depicted the rise of humanity alongside the HFY's presence, but also the mysterious disappearance of the alien race from Earth's history. Was the HFY intervention part of a larger cosmic plan, or had their creation of humanity been an experiment gone awry? Were humans the descendants of a failed experiment, or a brilliant success whose potential had yet to be fully realized? Darshaw couldn't shake the feeling that they had uncovered only the beginning of a much larger story. The ship's systems were still active, and it seemed to be waiting for them to unlock its final secrets. There was more to discover, more to understand, and yet every new answer only led to more questions. As the team delved deeper into the ship's core, they sensed that their next step would reveal something that could not be ignored. The answers to humanity's origins were out there, and the journey to uncover them was just beginning. As Darshaw and her team uncovered more of the Wreckage's secrets, they knew they were no longer just dealing with an archaeological find. This was a discovery that would rewrite human history itself. The implications of the HFY's involvement in humanity's creation were so profound that it was impossible to keep it hidden for long. News of their discovery quickly spread beyond the walls of the research facility in Antarctica, reaching the ears of governments, media outlets, and scientific communities around the world. The first reports were cautious, but soon enough the headlines were impossible to ignore. Alien wreckage found beneath Antarctica. Earth's true origins revealed by ancient aliens. Humanity's creation now understood. These stories began to flood every corner of the planet, and the world watched as the implications of the discovery unfolded. Some embraced the revelation with awe. Humanity had always wondered about its place in the cosmos, and now it seemed that Earth had been touched by a race of extraterrestrials who had guided their development. The very idea that humans were a product of advanced alien intervention was enough to spark excitement across the globe. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. There were other beings out there who had helped shape their existence. Others, however, reacted with fear and resistance. The discovery challenged everything people thought they knew about their identity and history. Religious leaders and philosophers questioned what it meant for humanity's soul and purpose. Many feared that the knowledge would lead to a loss of control over their own destiny. Some argued that the HFY's genetic manipulation had turned humans into something artificial and unnatural. Debates raged on across the world, and governments scrambled to manage the political fallout. Some nations demanded access to the wreckage for themselves, fearing that their rivals might use the technology for military purposes, while others tried to downplay the significance of the discovery in an effort to maintain order and prevent panic. The UN called for an emergency session to address the discovery and its potential impact on global security. Darshaw was summoned to present her findings and answer questions from world leaders, but even as she prepared for the meeting, she could not shake the feeling that there was something more at play, something the ship had not yet revealed. Despite the global debates and turmoil, one thing became clear: the ship was not merely a relic of the HFY's past. It was a warning, a message that had been waiting for humanity to uncover, and just as the ship's systems had begun to awaken, the world was beginning to feel the effects of this knowledge. In the days following the global revelation, strange events began to unfold across the planet. People began to experience vivid dreams of alien landscapes and strange voices speaking in languages they couldn't understand. Some felt a pull toward the wreckage itself, as though the ship was calling them. These occurrences were dismissed by some as mass hysteria or the result of overactive imaginations, but for those who had been in close proximity to the wreckage, the sensation felt all too real. Dershaw's own dreams were filled with images of the Isheri. Their glowing eyes and solemn faces seemed to convey a message one she couldn't quite understand, yet it was clear that the ship was more than just a historical artifact. It was a key, something that was unlocking more than just humanity's past. It was starting to reveal something else. The deeper the team dug into the wreckage, the more they sensed that they were being watched, that the ship was aware of their presence. Its systems seemed to react to their movements, almost as if it were alive, waiting for the right moment to reveal its next secret. And as humanity grappled with its newfound identity in the universe, Dershaw realized with growing dread that the Isheri had not simply created humanity. They had left a part of themselves behind, a part that was now calling to Earth once more. As the revelations from the ship continued to unfold, Dr. Shaw and her team found themselves caught in an increasingly complex and dangerous situation. The more they uncovered about the Isheri's involvement with humanity, the more they began to realize that their discovery was not simply a historical breakthrough, but the beginning of something much darker, something far more threatening. It started with the faintest of signals, at first just a flicker in the ship's data streams, a pattern that the team couldn't quite decode. No one thought much of it at first, but as they dug deeper into the wreckage's systems, the signals grew stronger, more defined. It wasn't just random noise, it was a distress signal, a message from the ship's creators, the Isheri, or at least what remained of them. Dershaw had a sense of unease in her gut, a gnawing feeling that something was wrong. As the team continued to investigate, they made an unsettling discovery. Hidden deep within the ship's mainframe was a message not intended for humanity, but for an entirely different species, one that had been watching Earth for centuries. The Crathak. The Crathak were not just another alien species, they were the Isheri's longtime enemies, a predatory race that had waged a brutal war against the Isheri across countless star systems for millennia. The Crathak had sought to wipe out the Isheri's creations and their influence, believing that the Isheri's experiments, particularly their creation of humanity, were a threat to the balance of the universe. Dershaw's heart sank as she read the intercepted message from the ship's archives. The Crathak were coming to Earth. They had known about the Isheri's genetic project and had been tracking the planet for centuries. The discovery of the ship had triggered a signal, a beacon that alerted the Crathak to the ship's location, and the fact that the humans, once thought to be mere byproducts of an ancient experiment, were now a growing and dangerous force. The Crathak were a ruthless, war-hungry race known for their strength and devastating weaponry. Their ships were designed to strike fast and with terrifying force, capable of decimating entire civilizations with ease. The message within the wreckage was not a warning, but a call to arms, a signal that the time had come for the Crathak to fulfill their mission to eradicate the Isheri's legacy, and in turn, humanity itself. As the team processed this new information, panic began to spread among the global leadership. While many had celebrated the discovery of the wreckage, few had anticipated that their newfound knowledge would bring such grave consequences. The Crathak were not a distant threat. They were already on their way to Earth. The initial signs of the Crathak fleet's approach were subtle. A series of strange gravitational anomalies detected at the edge of the solar system, and unusual energy fluctuations that could only be attributed to advanced technology far out in the void. The Crathak warships were gathering, their engines firing up for a swift and brutal invasion of Earth. Dershaw and her team worked around the clock, trying to understand what little was left of the Isheri's technology, hoping it could offer a way to fight back against all odds. Humanity was now thrust into an interstellar conflict they had never anticipated. With the Crathak on their way, Earth's leaders were forced to act quickly, pooling all their resources to prepare for a war unlike any humanity had ever faced. But the question remained, how could humanity fight a species with technology so far advanced? The wreckage held the key, but the deeper the team explored, the more they realized that the Isheri had left behind not just knowledge but warnings as well, and the greatest threat was yet to come. Humanity was not merely facing an invasion. They were facing the extinction of their legacy. The very thing they had thought made them unique, their creation, was now a target, and the future of Earth itself hung in the balance. The news of the impending Crax invasion spread like wildfire across the globe. Panic gripped entire nations as governments scrambled to prepare for the unthinkable. Earth had always been a planet of conflict and division, but now all those old disputes seemed insignificant compared to the threat that loomed in the stars. The Crax were not simply an alien threat, they were a force of annihilation, a species bent on wiping out humanity and everything that had come to be since the HFY had first intervened. Shaw and her team had been working tirelessly to decipher the ancient technology within the wreckage, searching for anything that might give humanity an edge in the coming conflict, but they were running out of time. The Crax were moving swiftly, and in the silence of space their warships, massive and deadly, were closing in on Earth. Yet, in the midst of the growing chaos, something unexpected happened. The ship's systems, which had been dormant for millennia, began to respond in ways no one could fully understand. It was as if the ship recognized the urgency of the situation, and for the first time since its discovery, the wreckage began to reveal its most crucial secrets. Shaw had spent countless hours studying the ship's core, convinced that the HFY had left more than just records of their history within it. There had to be something more, something that could turn the tide in humanity's favor. Finally, after weeks of searching, she found it. Buried deep within the ship's central chamber was a control room unlike anything she had ever seen. This chamber seemed to hum with power, and as Shaw activated a console, a holographic map of the galaxy appeared before her. But it wasn't just a map. It was a network of interconnected points, pathways that seemed to stretch from one end of the galaxy to the other. What struck Shaw the most was that Earth was at the center of it all, a nexus of sorts in an ancient web of civilizations that the HFY had cultivated, a hub that had once been an essential part of the greater galactic order. The Crax had known this too, and their obsession with erasing the HFY's creations made far more sense now. Shaw turned to her team, her heart pounding as she realized the significance of what they had just uncovered. The HFY had not just created humanity. They had placed Earth at the very heart of a larger cosmic network, a network that could, with the right knowledge, allow humanity to join the stars or defend itself against any external threat. The deeper they dug into the wreckage, the more they discovered the ship contained an array of weaponry, hidden and dormant, that was specifically designed to counter the Crax aggression. These weapons were not just physical tools of war, but advanced energy systems capable of manipulating space and time itself. What had seemed like simple alien technology now revealed itself as a vast arsenal capable of shifting the balance of power. Yet the ship's systems were not without their dangers. The more the team activated, the more they realized that the wreckage's true potential came with a high cost. The HFY had built these weapons to be used sparingly, only in times of dire need, and even then, the consequences of their use were not fully understood. The world's leaders convened in a summit to discuss the ship's capabilities and whether they should risk unleashing such powerful forces. It was a question of survival. Use the weaponry hidden within the ship and face the consequences, or face certain defeat against the Crax. With humanity's future hanging in the balance, the decision was made to push forward. The creation of Earth's first true united front began. Humanity's nations, once divided by petty borders and historical grievances, now joined forces to form a global coalition, the likes of which the world had never seen. Military forces from every corner of the planet converged to harness the HFY's technology and prepare for war in orbit. The newly formed Earth Defense Fleet began to take shape, combining human ingenuity with the advanced weaponry retrieved from the wreckage. The countdown to the Crax arrival had begun, but humanity now had something the invaders did not: a chance to fight back. And as the first ships of the Earth Defense Fleet launched into space, Shaw stood in the control room of the wreckage, knowing that the next phase of humanity's journey had begun. The war for Earth was about to start, but the true battle would not be won with weapons alone. It would be won with humanity's will to survive. The Crax arrived sooner than anyone had predicted. Their fleet emerged from the darkness of space in a terrifying wave of destruction warships. Their hulls, jagged and massive, appeared as shadows against the stars. Their engines hummed with unnatural power, each ship a harbinger of devastation as they tore through the outer edge of Earth's atmosphere. From the moment the first Crax ship reached the atmosphere, humanity was thrust into a battle for its survival. The global coalition's forces were ready, but despite their preparation, they were vastly outmatched by the sheer power of the Crax's advanced technology and superior weaponry. The first wave of Crax ships unleashed devastating bombardments on Earth's cities, obliterating entire regions in the blink of an eye. The world watched in horror as the first major casualties of the war began to mount. But Earth's defense was not without its own strengths. Humanity had prepared for this moment, leveraging the ancient HFY technology discovered in Antarctica. The new fleet, a combination of Earth's military might and the alien weaponry from the Wreckage, was quickly deployed. And the first counterattacks were launched from Earth's orbit. The Earth Defense Fleet, although vastly outnumbered, was armed with energy weapons capable of piercing Crax shields and deploying devastating bursts of energy that could level their ships. The battle in space raged with brutal intensity. Earth's warships maneuvered with precision and ferocity, aided by advanced HFY technologies that allowed them to warp space-time, slipping in and out of the Crax line of fire faster than they could respond. Yet despite these advantages, the Crax fleet was relentless, their weapons crushing human defenses one ship at a time. The war quickly turned into a vicious struggle, each side trying to gain the upper hand. On the ground, Earth's forces were scrambling to fight off the Crax forces that had landed in key regions of the world. Their armies poured into cities. Their soldiers, if they could even be called that, were terrifyingly efficient. They struck without mercy, using advanced bioweapons and psychic tactics to create chaos among human defenses. The Crax onslaught seemed unstoppable. But as the war escalated, humanity's resilience began to shine through. The very nature of the HFY weapons began to give the Earth Defense Fleet an edge at the last minute. A crucial breakthrough occurred. The Earth fleet was able to deploy a devastating HFY energy pulse that crippled the Crax flagship. The energy pulse, which had been stored within the Wreckage as a hidden weapon, was unleashed in a full-force attack, sending shockwaves through the Crax fleet. The pulse wasn't just an energy weapon. It was a sophisticated method of disrupting Crax technology, disabling their shields, and rendering their ships vulnerable to human fire. The Earth fleet's fighters closed in, and for the first time, the Crax began to lose ground. They scrambled to regroup, their previously unstoppable forces faltering under the onslaught of Earth's united forces. But the battle wasn't over. The Crax were relentless, and their warships fought back viciously, regrouping for a counterattack. The human fleet, bolstered by their new strength, but still vastly outnumbered, engaged in what was quickly becoming a desperate battle for survival. As the conflict raged on in space and on Earth, Dr. Shaw and her team worked tirelessly, using the HFY technology to develop new strategies and weapons to push back against the Crax invaders. Yet even as the tide turned in favor of humanity, something deeper, darker, began to emerge from the Wreckage. The HFY had left behind more than just weaponry. Inside the ship were knowledge caches containing the secrets of the Crax themselves. The revelations about the Crax motives were far more sinister than anyone had guessed. They weren't just attacking Earth to eliminate the HFY's legacy. They were hunting for something buried within the planet's depths, something far older than either the HFY or humanity. The deeper humanity fought, the more they realized that they weren't just defending their home. They were protecting a hidden secret, one that could change the course of the war forever. And with every victory, Dr. Shaw and her team uncovered new pieces of this mysterious puzzle. But as Earth's forces pressed forward, pushing the Crax back inch by inch, they knew one thing for certain. The war had only just begun. The war for Earth reached its final devastating climax, with both sides nearing exhaustion, but neither willing to relent. The Crax had been pushed back, their fleets battered by the combined might of Earth's military forces and the ancient Ishari weapons at humanity's disposal. But in their retreat, the Crathak had left behind a chilling reminder of their true objective. As the Earth Defense Fleet pressed into the final phase of the conflict, Derver Shaw and her team deciphered more from the wreckage. Fragments of Crathak knowledge embedded in the ship's data streams. It was then that they realized the Crathak were searching for something far more profound than just an alien victory. They had been hunting for a powerful artifact hidden deep within the Earth itself. The Ishari had not just created humanity. They had left a marker, a legacy hidden beneath the planet's surface, one that held the key to the next stage of evolution, a power that could elevate or destroy entire civilizations. The Crathak knew of this hidden artifact and believed that it would grant them the power to dominate the galaxy once and for all. The final battle on Earth's surface began when the Crathak launched one last desperate attempt to seize the artifact's location. The forces they sent were unlike anything humanity had yet faced. Soldiers enhanced with alien technology, beasts capable of tearing through human defenses, and weapons designed to wreak havoc on Earth's terrain. Shaw, alongside the world's leaders, made the decision to relocate to the site of the artifact's location, deep in the heart of a mountain range that had long been shielded from the public Earth's forces. Now battle-worn but unified in purpose, set up their defenses around the area, prepared for a final stand. The Crathak attacked with brutal efficiency, carving a path through Earth's defenses and pushing ever closer to the artifact. As the final push neared, Derver Shaw stood at the front lines, feeling the weight of everything humanity had fought for. As the Crathak forces breached the last layer of defense, she knew they could not allow the Crathak to claim their prize. But the artifact was not just a weapon. It was a connection to the greater cosmic network of the Ishari, a relic of an ancient plan to spread life and intelligence across the galaxy, a connection that had been dormant for millennia, but was now waking up as humanity's need for it grew more urgent. As the Crathak advanced, humanity's forces held firm, and for the first time, they fought with the full knowledge of their place in the cosmos. They were no longer just pawns in a game controlled by alien forces. They were part of something greater, a link in an ancient chain that could change the balance of the universe. In the final moments of the battle, as the Crathak surged forward to claim the artifact, a pulse of energy erupted from the Earth's depths, a surge so powerful it knocked both sides to the ground. The artifact had awakened, and its energy coursed through the battlefield. The Crathak, overwhelmed by the raw force of its power, were sent reeling back in defeat. Their once unstoppable war machine crumbled, their fleet scattering, unable to hold against the artifact's force. Shaw and her team stood in awe as the artifact's power began to stabilize, the energy surging into the sky like a beacon. It was then that humanity understood. This was not just a weapon to defend against invaders. It was humanity's true inheritance. It was the catalyst for the next step in their evolution, a tool for understanding the universe and connecting with the other intelligent life that the Ishari had seeded across the stars. As the dust settled and the Crathak forces retreated in disarray, humanity stood victorious. But the true meaning of their triumph was just beginning to unfold. Earth was no longer isolated. It was now part of a greater cosmic network of life, and humanity was no longer just a creation of the Ishari's design. They were the stewards of that legacy, responsible for nurturing and expanding the knowledge that had been left behind. Shaw watched as the world began to rebuild, knowing that the war had forged a new unity among the people of Earth. They were no longer divided by borders or ideologies. Humanity had been tested and had come out stronger and more connected than ever before. And as the first interstellar probes were launched into the depths of space, Shaw realized that the journey of humanity had just begun. The Ishari's legacy had been preserved, and now it was humanity's turn to carry the torch into the stars, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.